Hello and welcome to MFS and the Hub. I'm Ross the Boss. I'm here with Glad to the Bone, KC Scheinfeld. And yes, we're live. All-Star Game Tuesday is today, KC. Do you feel the tension? Do you feel the heat? Do you feel the excitement? How excited are you about the All-Star Game today, Casey?
I'm not. I probably won't watch. How's that?
I
Um,
probably will catch a minute of the game if
I
I'm lucky.
might, to see Paul Skeens pitch. I'll watch the first inning.
Well, this
But
is the cool thing. I mean, these guys know they're going one inning. Skis and, um, all these starters know you're just pitching one inning. Okay, Wheeler, all these guys. I don't think even Wheeler's pitching because like I heard like the Phillies aren't letting their pitchers pitch, but that's the rumor. Who knows? Um, but long story short, I feel like they're just going to go like full out. I mean, they're just going to throw like 102 miles an hour,
you're going to
and
see him throw his fastball.
yeah, I mean, you got one inning, so might as well throw all your great stuff, and then you're done. Um, so Skirball, all those guys, they're gonna be throwing the ball pretty hard. But yeah, I really don't watch any of the like any of the Pro Bowl All Star games. They're all pretty bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, so uh, Casey, let's talk. Trade deadline's coming up. The trade deadline is July 30th or 31st, whatever it is, and there are a lot of speculations going around who's getting dealt, who's going to be the rentals of these teams. The
yeah,
rentals, just so you guys know, is a player that's contract ends in October and they're a free agent. So basically, if the team has no chance of making the playoffs, um, you know, there's no way we can, win. Then they'll deal somebody so you can have that player on your team for 3 months,
right.
basically as a rental, and then that player can come back and sign with your team that he left. So that's what we call it, a rental. Little lesson learned. So Casey, I was in charge of the cover. I put Suarez on it just because, first of
You think
all,
the Yankees are going to try to get him?
that's what I'm thinking. And I was going to say the Dodgers maybe, but I think Muncy's going to be back anyway because Dodgers need a third baseman also. But I was thinking the Yankees, Suarez. Uh, what are your thoughts on that move?
I mean, it makes sense for the Yankees, that's for sure. They cut DJ LeMahieu because he just couldn't hack it at second
Yeah,
base.
yeah, they cut him. I guess they owed him $22 million, and they cut him. They gave him the money. I mean,
That
wow.
means very little to the Yankees. Um,
Yeah,
they're moving Jazz because he hasn't done very well defensively at third, back to second base, which is a more natural
well,
position
he's a
for him. So,
horrible. We'll go back. Horrible third baseman. He even admits that he doesn't want to play third. I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
And with Oswaldo Peraza getting hurt like he did earlier in the season, they lost one of their kind of Swiss Army pieces that they like to move around. So they need a third baseman. And so obviously to deepen their lineup because they go on these cold spells where they don't score for 4 or 5 games. Suarez is one of those players that can be protection for Judge or can make up for the rare Judge miss game. So uh, it certainly would be the natural fit for the Yankees, although Fried hasn't been doing very well, and now he has the blister. They need some starting pitching. They could also use some relief pitching. The Yankees suddenly look like a team full of holes. So
I agree with you. I think it makes a perfect sense, and I wonder if we'll see a trade tomorrow or Thursday, or we'll just get it closer to the deadline. I always remember like there was always a lot of trades going on like during the All Star break, but I guess it's not happening this year for some reason. I don't know why. But there you go. Some other players I feel that will probably get moved, and I'll just mention some names. I want your opinion. I want to say Zach Gallen of Milk. I mean, Zach Gallen is pitching in Arizona. Is not having a great year, but
yeah,
potentially he can. But again, he's a power pitcher and big money. I just feel Arizona is going to try to deal him and try to get some youth in there. And I can see one of these playoff contending teams getting him. So I have him high on my list. I also have I say this name every year. You and I say this name every year, and every year he never gets dealt, and we look like idiots. But this year he's making 15 million. Next year he makes 20 million. The year after that he makes 25 million. He's barely. I don't think he's batting my weight. I mean that's how bad he is. Is Luis Robert or Robert? How do I say it, Casey?
Robert.
Thank you. Your French is perfect, just so you know.
You know,
Robert.
some things I do very well.
But Luis Robert, Casey, steals bases. I mean, and he has potential as a power hitter.
Yeah.
He just can't hit for average this year. He's a horrible year in average wise. But what are your thoughts on Luis Robert being dealt from the White Sox?
I mean, I think the White Sox could sell a lot of pieces, obviously, if they had him. Um, Robert just he gets hurt a lot and he's not consistent. So I don't think he'd be dealt to a contender as a guaranteed starter. He'd more be like that fourth outfielder. So or somebody who can make up for somebody who's not back yet from injury. He certainly could be traded. I'm thinking the best outfielder at the deadline who might be available is probably Jaron Duran in
Yeah, I was
Boston.
going to ask you that. I mean, rumors about Alex Bregman being traded,
But
Duran
he's
being
got a
traded.
$40 million salary.
I know, but the Red Sox are winning. I mean, they had a big winning streak going on right before the break. They had
Well, they're 6.5 games out, aren't they?
Casey, they won like 9 or 10 in a row. I mean, they're
Let me
playing
check
really
the
good
standings.
baseball in Boston. Do you really want to jinx that? I mean, you can do it. It's fine with me. But I'm not a Red Sox fan, as you know. I love when they lose, but I don't know. I just
Yeah,
I'm a
I could.
believer that if it's working right now, why mess with it? But that's me.
Yeah, the Red Sox are certainly um, playing better than a lot of other teams. So, um,
But my question is, I mean,
what
the
about
truth of the matter
Adolis
is
Garcia?
who?
Adolis Garcia. They're 11 games back in the. They're pretty far back in the West. They're 8.5 games back in the West. So they're not really. They'd have to pass both Seattle and Houston, who are both just better than them right now. They're only a half game in front of the Angels, and then in the wild card. Let's see, wild card. Let me check the standings here.
Somebody else I like when you're looking
They're
that up. I'll
three and
just
a
talk
half.
about him. Is Azuna of Atlanta? He's a perfect rental. He's a free
Marcell
agent.
Ozuna. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a free agent in October, and sadly enough, the Braves are not going to make the playoffs. They're playing horribly, and Azuna makes big money, and he's a huge bat. And I can see him, going to Kansas City, maybe going to maybe the Dodgers, maybe even the Yankees. But huge bat, huge salary. But I see him being dealt also. I think Atlanta's going to get rid of a couple of their high-priced people that are free agents, and Azuna fits that category. Somebody else I like for the Angels, you said the Angels, and I said, this guy could be dealt. I mean, this guy is somebody that is probably, I'm sure they're getting calls about him, is Tyler Ward, the
Taylor
outfielder
Ward.
for the
Yeah.
Angels. I mean, I have a feeling that he'll be dealt also, Casey, because I know Trout's not going to go anywhere, right? I mean, they're not going to trade Trout. But
Or Joe Adele. They're not going to trade him either because he's
he's
young.
just too young. He doesn't make the money like some of these other players make. You know what I mean? And I think Ward's a free agent at the end of the year, so I think that makes sense. Another guy that we mentioned last year that was never dealt, and he signed like a 1-year deal with this team, and they were reluctant to giving him money, but they did. Is Kyle Finnegan of the Nationals? And Nationals, I really thought they would have a better year. I mean, they're horrible. I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
They're not a good team. They have Tipper
Pretty tough
Gore.
division too.
They have Tipper Gore, and they have Wood, and they have a few other, and they have C.J. Abrams, who I love, but they're just not playing good baseball. They're losing a lot. So Kyle Finnegan, closer, could help a lot of teams. He could be high on people's lists. I like him. Another guy I like, Casey, is Jesus Sanchez of the Marlins. Another good hitter, cheap, does not make big money. The Marlins always trade away all their young talent. They don't care. I mean, I think the Marlins are going to trade Edward Cabrera. How about that? I think he's gone.
He could be. Sandy Alcantara.
Sandy is having a horrible year. That's the only reason why I don't know if people will value him high, because his ERA is over 5. I mean, he's just horrible year. But long story short, I think Sandy will stay. I think Cabrera could be the one that's gone. They're not going to trade Yuri Perez. You know that. They'll keep him.
What about not to switch teams on you, but what about Emmanuel Clase?
Tell me about the Guardians. I mean, every
The
time
Guardians are 12 games out in
yeah,
the Central, and they're 4.5 games back of the last wild card spot, with 3 or 4 teams in front of them for that last wild card spot. So they're pretty much not going to win it this year.
no,
And
no.
Clase is a huge trade chip for them.
I think he's in his prime. I think he's had an up and down year. There was talks about him losing the closing role. I don't know if you remember back in May. He is somebody. Yes, he's somebody that 4 or 5 teams would give a lot of farm hands for him. I think that's a good choice. Like every team can use a better bullpen. The Phillies, the Dodgers, even Houston. I mean, all these teams. I mean, they all can use a better bullpen. And Clase, is proven to be one of the best closers in the game. And imagine like Hader and him are on the same team, and the 8th, 9th inning, you have to go through Clase, then Hader.
Yeah, I mean, and you got like the Twins aren't really in it. You have John Duran could be moved. You got Peter Fairbanks, the Rays. You mentioned Kyle Finnegan. What about David Bednar or Raisel Iglesias?
Yeah, Bednar, we mention him every year, and he just isn't good. I mean, I wish I could say he's having a great year. He's really not. I mean, he started out really bad and he got better. But Bednar, to me, I don't know. I just don't feel. I mean, the Pirates are so bad. I mean, the only Pirate that I would want is the guy who hit the 500.
O'Neal Cruz. That thing was a bomb. Yeah.
I mean, O'Neal Cruz really. I mean, he steals bases. He's 6'7". He's a big guy, and when he gets around on a ball, obviously it goes pretty far. But do you think he could be traded? I mean, in all seriousness, do you think the Pirates? I don't think Paul Skeens is going to stay there. I don't think anybody wants to play there. The owner's one of the worst owners in sports. I mean, he does not spend a dime. And do you think O'Neal Cruz will stay there, Casey?
Yeah.
No? Yes, no, maybe.
Look, I think he's there for 2 or 3 more years because they have team control, but he'll eventually be traded. I would love it if they would invest in him and in Skeens and then try to put some players around them, but that's just not their MO.
Have you seen Skeens? Like, they interview him like after the game, and he just does not want to be in Pittsburgh. He wants to get out of Pittsburgh ASAP. I mean, his girlfriend, the big influencer, I've got her name, but she doesn't even go to games. She doesn't even show up to games anymore. She used to show up to games, if you remember, and I guess she tried to buy an apartment in New York. Babe Ruth's old apartment. This is recently. She tried to buy the apartment where Babe Ruth lived, and the building people said, "We don't want you living here." And she didn't. She didn't get to buy it because the people.
That's too bad for her.
The people that lived there did not want the circus that would go on.
It's not her fault. She's popular.
Yeah, I can imagine like the average age of like the people that live in that building is probably 90. So I'm sure
I don't know. Yeah.
So I'm sure they didn't want that whole thing going on with Paul Skeens coming over every other night and all that stuff. But that's good stuff. Anybody else, Casey, that's on your waiver wire list?
On the waiver wire or trade?
Yeah, let's switch to waiver wire. I know we were talking about trade bait and people that are going to be traded and dealt. We gave you a lot of names. I mean, there's a lot of people. I think Seth Lugo could be traded.
Yeah. I think Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor's interesting. It's like they just signed him, and all of a sudden he's going to be gone. But I can see it. Arizona is not going to be in the playoffs. I can see that happening. You could be right. But I do love when some of these big names that we mentioned, they're going to be traded. It's going to happen.
Look, it's still getting back to the waiver wire. It still shocks me that Nick Kurtz isn't 60% owned.
Oh, he's a beast.
He's crushing the ball.
He's like 6'7". He's a huge guy. I mean,
Kyle Stowers is still hitting the cover off the ball, and he's not 60% owned.
Well, how bad did Rooker get gypped when him and
by like 1/8 of a foot or whatever they
No,
measured
it
it
was
at.
an inch. It was like an
Yeah.
inch. I mean, seriously, you have a swing off. You don't
Yeah,
obviously.
that's stupid. Roman Anthony's starting to hit the ball, not for power, but he's at least getting on base. Andrew Vaughn's been hitting the ball pretty well in Milwaukee.
I like
Um,
Gavin Sheets in San Diego. I think San Diego is going to have a big second half. I think they'll play well.
Noelvi Marte, your Cincinnati Red is playing well, and he's still not owned that much.
He had a big home run on Saturday.
Yuri Perez is less than 60% owned. How can that be? So there's some players out there.
There's definitely some players, and some of these teams are going to start hitting up. Another guy that I like, I think this guy's going to be dealt. I mean, I really do, is Ryan McMahon of Colorado. He's having a pretty good year.
Third baseman, yep.
And another third baseman, I see him being dealt, and especially the money he makes. I think he makes $12 million. I see him leaving Colorado. Why do they want him? You know what I mean? Why keep him? Bring in some other guy. Have the lowest payroll in baseball. You're playing like it. Might as well have it. It's unbelievable what's happening in Colorado. And at the beginning of the year, I bet the over/under on the White Sox winning more than 55 games. I think I'm going to win that bet.
Are you?
I hope so. I saw it was really low, and I thought, the White Sox really tried to improve this season. So that's one of my bets that I did make, that I felt good about.
Yeah.
So there you go. Casey, anybody else on the waiver wire that you're looking at to pick up this week? I'm really I'm really not doing much on the waiver wire this week, just so you know.
Not too much.
I did drop in our league Javier Baez. I dropped him to pick up the McKinley. Is that how you say it? The guy from Cleveland?
Yeah. McKinstry.
McKinstry. I picked up him just because he's pretty hot right now. But overall, I'm not really making any big moves. There's not, I don't think any of these guys that were drafted a couple days ago are going to be in the Major League Baseball this season. Do you?
No,
I don't think so either. Maybe you might see a pitcher or two in September. A couple of the college guys, not the high school guys. Don't know if you watched the Major League Draft. I watched a little of it, and I did see 3 kids from the same high school in California were all drafted in the first round.
That's pretty cool. No, I didn't watch it.
And that team still didn't win state. They lost to St. Bosco. So, think of it, 3 players drafted in the first round. That's unbelievable. In high school, all 18-year-olds. I never heard of that before, but it happened. Casey, anything else you want to talk about in baseball? I'm excited for football. I can't wait to start talking about fantasy football and quarterbacks and running backs, wide receivers.
I know we're going to start talking about that soon.
I can't wait to hear about your bust at quarterback. I can't wait when you say Joe Burrow is going to be a bust. I'm so excited to hear those words come out of your mouth. I'm so excited.
No, I'll pick somebody new.
Who's the Giants quarterback this year? Who's your big?
Russ Wilson will be the Giants quarterback this year. Oh my God, it's all good.
I forgot who's the back. They signed somebody else to be a backup, didn't they? Or was it
They have Jameis Winston, and then they have Jackson Dart.
Mr. King Crab, we call him, and Jackson Dart, who I like. He played a year at SC. Then he went to Mississippi. But Jackson Dart, I do like. It just makes me laugh about the Giants, how they try to bring these guys and it never works out. Okay, so that's our show for today, Case. We'll be back on Thursday.
12:30.
12:30, 9:30 Pacific. And I'm Ross the Boss, and that's Casey Vlad Scheinfeld. Thanks for watching.